Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Small Business Workshop. And we're so pleased that you're joining us this morning. Appreciate it very much. My name is Mark S. Lee. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of the Lee Group, an integrated strategic marketing organization, consulting organization headquartered here in Metro Detroit. I'm also an adjunct professor, radio host, blogger, and a media contributor across Detroit as well as across the country. And all we do a lot of work that's focused on small business development and entrepreneurship and its impact on Detroit's continued revitalization. So thank you for joining us. And I'm pleased you're able to join us for the third straight year virtually. And this event is free. And without our sponsors, this would not be a free event. And I'd like to thank, of course, our presenting sponsor as well. They've been with me from the beginning, been with us from the beginning. And we appreciate all they do in Detroit and for their support for this now being the 8th annual Small Business Workshop. And a program like this would not be successful with all of our sponsors. And I would take a moment to acknowledge all of them. And starting with, again, the Fifth Third Bank as our presenting sponsor, the Detroit Development Fund, Comcast Business, Build Institute in partnership with Empowered by GoDaddy, First Independence Bank, Live 6 Alliance, Michigan Women Forward, State Farm Agent Cindy Fletcher, Tanner Freeman, Strategic Marketing Communications, Detroit Public Television, WTVS/Channel 56, and the Detroit Free Press as well. And without these sponsors and partners, again, today's event would not be possible, so we really do appreciate it. Today's topic is very relevant, and we're gonna have a great speaker I'll be introducing in one moment. And we're going to be talking about help wanted during the Great Resignation. Just two quick points. In 2021, according to the Michigan Bureau of Labor, in 2021, for the first 3 quarters, small businesses generated 170,000 jobs. And those small businesses are defined as 50 employees or less. However, as we heard last week from the market strategist for Fifth Third Bank, there are 5 million people looking for work, but there are 11 million jobs. And that's the perfect segue into today's topic, help wanted during the Great Resignation. We'll also be talking about financial wellness, starting with credit and doing business during the digital age. So what I'd like to do at this point is, again, welcome you. If you want to tweet along, you can feel free to tag me. My Twitter handle is @LeeGroup, and I'll be more than happy to retweet you or use the hashtag Small Business Workshop. All right, so I'm going to turn over our opening comments. Is a great person. I've known her for a while, Miss Dr. Priscilla Archangel of Archangel and Associates. And she's going to be discussing the Great Resignation. And she has a passion for developing successful leaders by partnering with them to grow professionally as they lead their teams and organizations. And she accomplishes through her work as an executive coach, leadership, and organizational development consultant, facilitator, speaker, and author. And as president of Archangel and Associates, she draws on her 30-year corporate experience and to help clients with challenges of organizational culture, mission, vision, values, behavior, engagement, managing change and alignment. And she has a book out as well. Her latest book, Leader Vantage, 7 Essential Steps to Peak Leadership, was released in 2021. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Priscilla Archangel.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate your generous introduction, and I am really happy to be with all of you today. This is a great topic for us because we know that we're in the middle of a challenging time. And Mark, as you have already mentioned, small businesses are the heartbeat of America. So I just want to start off by making sure, can everyone see my slides?
Yes, but can we see your video as well? It looks like we don't have a video.
Well, I clicked the button. Oopsie. So let me go back. Let's see. Let me go back and make sure. All right. How's that?
All right.
Okay. So what happens is when you click that button really fast, you sometimes misclick it. All right. So I'm going to move my slides into presentation mode. Everybody can see that?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you so much. So wonderful. I'm glad that you all took the time to be here today because this is, again, a very, very important topic. And so I just want to talk to you briefly about what I call 8 tips for attracting and retaining talent in a tight marketplace. So as Mark said, I worked for the first 30 years of my career in a really large company. And, we had market presence, we had branding. People always wanted to work for us, all right? But we are in different times today, whether you're a small business or whether you're a large company. Employees have many more options and are much pickier these days. But I want to first start out by framing the situation, and that is that resignations didn't start with the pandemic. Resignations have been increasing over the past at least 10 to 15 years already.
So can I jump in for one? So can I jump in 1 second? We just got to note that your presentation is not in presentation mode.
All right, it is on my screen. So I tell you what, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to reshare again.
And if not, that's fine. Just keep going. So
all right. So let's see. Is it in presentation mode now?
No, it's not.
Try going into full screen, Priscilla.
Try going into full screen.
And if not, as Mark said, we'll just continue on in PowerPoint mode.
So I'm gonna, I close the whole thing and I will just open it again. Because of the way, because I'm logged in possibly as a, I don't know.
It's okay.
Try to share it and then go into full screen mode. And if not, then we'll just continue watching it in the presentation. Okay.
What are you seeing now? Is that presentation?
No. So you can go ahead.
All right. And since you all have a copy as well, if you want to just put your copy up in presentation mode, that's fine. And I'll just keep going. Okay. All right. Great. Pardon?
No, you can go ahead and control it. It's easier for you to do it. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So resignations didn't start with the pandemic, but not all new hires are happy. We are hearing that they have regrets about leaving their former job. There's remorse involved. Some of them are looking for yet another new job because what happened is, some people kind of just jumped on this bandwagon of the grass must be greener on the other side of the fence. But we also know that sometimes that grass is, as I like to call it, spray painted green. People are missing their prior work-life balance. They're missing the culture and the friends that they had at their prior jobs. They didn't fully evaluate the new role, some of them. And so some of them are boomeranging. They're going back to their prior employer. At the same time, not all employers of new hires are happy because they had to, in some cases, take what they could get and settle for some skill sets that were in place and some skill sets that may not have been fully in place. So it is not a happy situation either way. But let's talk about now the values and the skill sets that you need, okay? The first is making sure, and this is really a preliminary role on the part of all business owners, all leaders who are hiring. And that is you have to first self-reflect on what is it you need in the role. Now, that may sound obvious, like, of course I did that. Of course I spent time doing that. But I mean, really take the time to understand what your organizational values are, okay? If you are a personal service provider, what are the values that are associated with how you will provide those personal services to your clients and how you will be available to them and how you will treat them, okay? And then you need to make sure that the people that you are interviewing have personal values that align with your organizational values, okay? This isn't just a matter of putting a warm body in a job. It's making sure that people really get what your business is about, all right? If you're providing tax services and you pride yourself as one of your organizational values about being very, very detailed and correct in everything and triple checking all the tax advice that you're providing, and you have someone who likes to be creative, that's not a good alignment. Also think about the breadth and depth of skill sets needed. Sometimes if someone is working in a large organization, they need to be deep in an area, but they don't need to be broad and wide. They only need to know one area very, very well. They don't have to know the adjacent areas to it. And if you hire someone like that into your small business, you may find that they are not broad enough, because in your small business, maybe you need people with a greater breadth of experience and not enough depth. And then you need to make sure that there are complementary skills for everybody on your team. The next thing is recruit continuously. And that is, you are always in marketing mode. You're always networking, using social media, job search boards. Mark sent me an article this morning from the Department of Natural Resources, where they are, of course, looking for summer workers. They hire 1,300 or so people every summer to work in parks and things like that around the state. And they're falling a little behind their normal trajectory right now in terms of the number of people they have. Well, the very fact that that article was posted in wxyz.com is marketing for them. And the article took great pains to talk about the type of people that they like to employ and the type of experiences that they provide to people who come to the parks. So that's an example. There's also non-traditional workers. So for instance, you might consider ex-felons or ex-offenders. You might consider people with disabilities. You might consider people who are on the autism spectrum, all right? And these people, the history is that they are highly unemployed. I didn't say unemployable. They are very employable, but they are and I really mean underemployed. And so there's more opportunity for them to work. And you may find that they'll provide a wonderful resource for your business. And then you can also provide non-traditional schedules, flexibility, adaptability, part-time schedules. Third, interview thoroughly. We all know you're going to get ghosted now, okay? This was something that never happened, at least not anywhere near like it's happening now before the pandemic. But people will say they're going to show up for an interview and will never, ever show up. In fact, you can even hire them and they don't show up for their first day of work. That's what's happening too. So you have to just assume that's going to happen and almost stack the deck to make sure you have what you need. Make sure you're asking relevant questions for the specific role that you have, so you can really dig into what their skills and capabilities are or aren't, so that you can see if it's still enough for you to get by. I also advise you to ask them a surprise question. And that means something that they wouldn't expect, that probably gets at some of the emotions attached to why they want to work with you. So for instance, ask them about something they've worked on that was exciting, that made them happy, that they couldn't wait to continue working on it. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find their passion, all right? Is this just a 9 to 5 or whatever the work hours are? Is this just a job for them to bring in some money? Or is there something that they really love about the work they do, which relates to their personal values, which should overlap with your organizational values? So ask them a passion question. The other thing is, look at their potential. They may not have all the skills now, but are they good learners? Are they quick learners? Do they have the basics? And you can teach them the rest. And I mentioned values already. Values is one of the most important things to look for in prospective employees. The other thing is, make offers quickly. We all know now we have to move quickly. Before, maybe a couple of years ago, you could, wait days or a week or so to make your decision and make an offer, but you need to be swift now. You need to pay them competitively. I didn't say be the highest payer, all right? But just be competitive so that they are not turning down your offer because it's not enough money. And if all they want is money in terms of what job they're looking for, maybe your role isn't the right role for them, and that is okay. We want people who are paid appropriately, paid competitively, but we also want people who really love the work that they do and really want to be part of our companies. You also may find that people come to you and say, well, I've got a counter offer. Someone, and this may be an employee or a prospective hire, someone else is offering me more money. And you have to figure out, am I going to counter that offer and up the ante for them here? Be aware with an existing employee that if you do that, you need to really first figure out why they're leaving. First of all, are they bringing you another offer just so they can get more from you? Or is it that they really, really want to go to this other company? What can you do differently to make them stay that really makes a difference? That is not just money alone. Is it maybe they're not getting enough respect, or they're not getting the types of projects that they want? Well, maybe they're not getting the types of projects with you because they're not performing well enough to get those projects. So you really need to identify what is it that's drawing them away, and is more money the right thing to throw at it? And even if you do that in the short term, chances are, in many cases, they're still going to leave in the next 3 to 6 months. Also, onboard them purposefully. Make day one special. That means you're going to spend more than 15 minutes orienting them to your organization. You're going to spend maybe the better part of the day recommunicating the values, showing them how the values are lived out in every part of their role, introducing them to coworkers, introducing them to clients, introducing them to the processes and the policies in your organization. You're going to spend time training with them from an equity standpoint. Equal training means everybody gets the same training. Equity-based training means I understand who you are and what special needs you have for training, for discussing specific parts of the role. So I'm going to find out what your specific needs are and make sure that I give you what you need to be successful in this organization, and continue to connect the purpose of my organization with you as an individual. The sixth one is make them feel valued and included. So this is one of the biggest things in terms of retaining people. Are you showing them respect? Are you listening to them? Are you making them feel included? Are you showing them that you trust them? Are you demonstrating empathy, that you can understand their feelings? Each employee that you have is different. Even if you have multiple employees doing the same thing in essence, they are different people with different needs. And you must understand who they are, where they're coming from. Some people need a lot of praise. Some people say, don't ever talk about me and don't ever praise me in public. I just want to work in the background here. Understand what their different needs are and work to respect that and make them feel a part of the team. That is huge. The seventh one is provide a growth environment. So that means learn their strengths, use their strengths, and help them to develop new skills, okay? Everybody wants to be growing because really none of us are staying the same. I have plants in my house and they're either growing or dying. They never stay the same. And if I don't water them and give them what they need on a weekly basis, at least, they're going to be dying. So how are you developing them? How are you understanding what their career goals are and giving them new projects, added responsibilities, different responsibilities, giving them new capabilities and skills in a variety of ways. And this is part of also mentoring and coaching them along, all right? So that means you're not telling them what to do in every case, but you are providing them with scenarios and opportunities, and kind of just like that coach in baseball or basketball, helping them to grow their own skill sets. And you're providing them with flexibility. Here's a series of projects, here's a series of roles and responsibilities. Let's talk about how you want to get them done. Let's make sure you understand the priorities, and then give them room to make their own decisions, to plan their day in whatever way, such that they meet the deadlines and meet the obligations that you want them to meet. And the last one is just don't hold on to a poor performer, okay? So for some organizations, you know, they say a warm body is better than nobody. But I will tell you that that becomes a toxic warm body when you have a poor performer and everyone knows that this person is performing poorly, all right? So you need to let them find their greatness sometimes someplace else, all right? If you really don't want to be here, I'm going to free you from this role and let you find something that is a better fit with your skills and interests. They will thank you later on, and your current employees will thank you. So those are my 8 tips. And I'm sorry that I couldn't get into presentation mode for all of you, but I'm going to turn it back over to Mark. Thank you.
So thank you. Priscilla's going to hang around and we'll be part of a panel discussion we're going to have a little bit later this morning. And thank you very much, Priscilla. Again, very important. You know, we are certainly in challenging times, and we need to hear those tips. So we need to understand what can we do to certainly attract and retain. Very quickly, I was having lunch yesterday with the CEO of a major organization. We got to this very conversation, and he was sharing with me some of the challenges that this major organization downtown Detroit is certainly experiencing and how they're trying to address some of those. By the way, if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A in the chat room, and we will begin to address those a little bit later. But right now, what I like to do is to get myself together here and come back, and I would like to turn your attention to a short video by another one of our great sponsors, First Independence Bank. And then you will hear from Helda Saad, who will discuss financial wellness starting with credit.
Hello, I'm Dimitrius Hutcherson, Executive Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer, and Chief Technology Officer at First Independence Bank. First Independence Bank first opened its doors on May 14, 1970. It was one of the positive outcomes as a result of the historic 1967 Detroit Rebellion. 24 prominent Black business and professional men and women pooled their resources together to establish this Black-owned financial institution, headquartered in Detroit. Now, 52 years later, we are still here, still going strong. We have 2 bank branches here in Midtown Detroit, off Woodward and Grand Boulevard, and on the west side near the Fashion District. Our newest national branch opened in Minneapolis to serve all our customers, individuals, small business owners, or corporations. Speaking of small businesses, since FIB's inception, we've serviced small business owners with their small business banking needs. We're here to serve you and help you grow your business. Recently, First Independence entered into a multi-year partnership with Operation Hope to help small businesses grow. Together, our aim is to accelerate 1 million Black businesses by way of grants, technology, education, coaching, programs, and more. For more information, visit firstindependence.com or visit an Operation Hope financial coach locally in Detroit at the First Independence Bank 7 Mile location.
And we appreciate First Independence Bank's support. Been a great partner. They're doing great things in Detroit and now in Minneapolis and beyond. Helda Saad works for First Independence Bank as the Assistant Vice President, Executive Project Manager, and Director of Mortgage Lending Operations. She is also serving as the Second Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Greater Detroit Realist Group, which serves under the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Helda has won several customer service awards in the banking industry and has volunteered in many communities with many organizations to help bring awareness and help with CRA. Helda was nominated and selected as an honoree for Crain's 2021 Most Notable Women in Banking. I am very pleased to welcome Helda Saad. Helda, is yours.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you so much for that introduction. Your introduction is just a kind testament of the kind of companies we like to partner with, and I'm very proud to be a part of this program. Good morning, everyone, and I will be sharing my presentation as well on the importance of credit. Can you guys see this? Perfect.
No, we don't see it yet, Helda. Not yet.
You don't? Okay, let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's do it now again. Do you see it now?
No, do a share screen.
I did. Okay. Let's do it now. Now you see it?
Yes, it's all yours.
Perfect. So today's discussion is going to be about credit and the importance of credit and understanding that money is not your enemy, managing your money, how to manage your money and investing in yourself. And most importantly is understanding and building credit, the importance of credit. One of my favorite quotes is money is your friend, not your enemy. So money is only a tool because it will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. We got to all understand that. Once we understand money, we understand that that is just a tool to where we need to get in life, right? Managing your money and budgeting is very important. There's 3 criteria that are very important, which is managing your money and budgeting and also your credit. All 3 work together, right? The importance of budgeting. A budget is a written record for the money. It can help you develop better financial habits, relieve emotional stress, assist you in achieving your financial goals, control day-by-day financial decisions, and increase your savings, right? It helps you sleep better at night, basically, when you budget. Keys to effective budgeting is a good way to start is to write down every penny you earn and every penny you spend, right? Making sure that you align, you have your pros and your cons and what you need to spend on and what you don't need to spend on. I'm not going to go through the details of this because we are limited on time, but I'd be more than happy to share this slide too as well, you guys. Develop and identify your personal goals. Make sure that you evaluate your current record of income and your expense trends. And then most importantly is assign priorities. What's most important for you guys to pay for? What's a recipe for financial success? I get that question asked a lot. You need to determine your income. You need to track your expenses. You need to identify your wants versus your needs. That's a very, very hard thing to determine, just so you guys know, identify the wants and the needs. Spending cost effectively and planning spending in order to reach your financial goal. You also need to strengthen your inner control system. That is another hard one. Everything counts. Make a list of each income stream that you receive on a regular basis, whether it be your income that you earn from your job, your part-time job, your full-time job, your unemployment, your supplemental wages, your child support, Social Security. Any income that comes in on a monthly basis is considered income. Make sure you mark those down and you calculate it part of your total income. Make sure you understand your expenses. What is an expense? An expense is money you spend on every single purchase that includes planned and unplanned. Meaning if you need to go shopping for clothes for a wedding that just came up, that's part of your expense. If the faucet broke at home and you need to spend them, you need to put money towards that, that's an additional expense. You have to factor all of that into your expenses. Rainy days. Common types of income: employment, self-employment, allowance, retirement, Social Security, government income, contract work, interest and dividend income. A lot of people are now involved in the interest and dividend incomes. Employment income is your gross income minus your deductions, which is your net income. So technically your net income is actually the income that you need to be budgeting for, not your gross income, because your gross income is usually the total income before all your deductions, right? So once taxes are taken out, that can be a part of. So if you make $100,000 a year, how much are you really bringing home? And what you're bringing home is what you really need to be budgeting for. Increasing income, meaning if you're getting a second job or you use certain tax credits that can help you increase your income, make sure that you evaluate that into your savings actually versus your budgeting. Common household expenses, we all know what they are. I will name a few, which is housing, electricity, and insurance. Those we all have to pay on a month-to-month basis, and everything else that's on this list. Defining your expenses. What are your expenses, right? Understanding what's fixed and what's variable. Your fixed would be your mortgage. You have that payment or your rent. You have that payment for as long as you have to live inside under a roof, right? Your insurance, your car payments, your taxes, your school loans. Those are all fixed payments. What are your variables? Your car maintenance, your gas, your food, your electricity, what else? Like your groceries. Those are all variables. Those you can adjust on how much you can spend and what you can't spend, right? Versus your rent, it's a set payment on a monthly basis. Decreasing expenses, carrying a little cash and controlling your credit card use. You need to understand how to decrease your expenses, not shopping for fun. I know a lot of people, especially family members, I can say, they like to binge shop when they're upset or they're sad about something. They go binge shopping and then they come back and say, I spent all of my money on this. Make sure that when you're emotional, you don't go shopping, you don't go spending. Try as much as you can. A lot of people use emotion to spend. Remember your savings goal, buying only what you need and pay bills on time to avoid extra fees and charges. You should probably have a calendar that looks like this, that talks about your expenses and what you get, what you pay, what comes in and what goes out. And then you should make a budget for yourself, right? Understand what you can afford on a monthly basis and how much can you put away, and don't use it. Make sure you don't use it unless you really, really have to, which is for the rainy day. So savings. At the end of every month, break your income and expense down to categories. Your income is greater than your expense. That's great. If it's not, then you have a problem and you need to work on fixing it. Emergencies happen, and we all know that. So you have to always make sure that you have an emergency fund. $1,000 to $5,000 is usually a great way to start, and then develop the attitude that it is only used for emergencies. What is an emergency? You have to make sure to understand that an emergency is, God forbid, you lose your job or an unexpected medical needs or something breaks in the house, and make sure that if you use that money, that emergency fund, you replenish it. That's very important as well. So you need to make sure you take a step back on your spending habits after you have used your emergency fund and make sure that you replenish some of that money, right? Take some, put it back, put it all back. Make sure you put it all back. Set financial goals. Identify your goals and write them down. Your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Make sure that your goals are achievable. Don't say, I want to buy a yacht. I mean, eventually, hopefully you'll be able to buy a yacht, but start little and grow to the yacht. And then adjust your goals as necessary. Any questions so far? Now, understanding credit. This is very important. And this is what I try to make people understand. This is my goal, to make sure people understand credit and the importance of credit. In credit, you have a credit score. Your credit score varies from 300 to 850. You have 3 credit bureaus that have competing models. You have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So credit is a snapshot of what is credit. A lot of people wonder, what is credit? Credit is a snapshot of a consumer's credit profile at the particular point in time that a credit report is obtained from a repository. It's basically your grade. It's in school. It's your report card in school, right? But this time it's your report card for what you want for your credit. Credit scores are not stored in the consumer's credit file at the repository. And like I mentioned, they range from 300 to 850, 300 being the worst, 850s being the best. And then it is comprised of 5 key factors. Payment history takes a huge toll on your credit score. 30% of it, 35% of it. 30% of it is an amount you owed on your credit. Length of credit history is 15%. New credit is 10%, and types of credit used is 10%. Payment history, like I mentioned, are you making your payments on time? Do you have any derogatory public information? The amount you owed on derogatory accounts and the quantity of derogatory information. What is derogatory? That's bad credit, bad reporting on your credit report. Outstanding debt utilization. If you have a credit card for $1,000, Is it okay to use $999 of it? No, because that looks like you're relying on your credit to be able to pay your bills. What they want you to do is try to use maybe 30 to 35% of it. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, make sure you guys use up to 300 to 350. And if you do use the 900, make sure you try to pay it down as fast as possible. They want to make sure that you're able of making your payments, that you're not relying on your credit cards to make your payments, and that you're making sure that you're able to afford the amount that you're using. History of the credit established, that weighs a 15%. Number of months since oldest account revolving. How long has it been since you've had that credit card? And then the number of months since your oldest installment account. So you have good credit and bad credit, right? And so good credit would be a Visa card, a credit, a Discover card, an Express card, American Express card. Those are good credit. Department stores, Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue. Those are credit to help you establish credit, but they don't necessarily help your credit. A mortgage loan, that looks great on your credit when you have a mortgage. That helps your credit score. Those, you have to understand the difference between a credit that will help you stand on your feet and credit that will help you look good in front of the lenders. Type of credit that's being used. You need to understand, like I said, the difference in credit cards, because if you have a retail store card, that means that you can't afford to buy the things that you're buying, right? That's basically what you're telling the creditors. But if you have an American Express card with a $100,000 credit limit, then you're like, oh, then the creditors are like, oh, okay, they know how to use their credit, and they have a lot of finance, they're capable of controlling their finances. Things that impact your credit score. This is very, very important, you guys. How many inquiries you have impact your credit score. So if you go apply for a credit card and you get denied, don't go applying for other ones. There's a reason. Find out why that credit card got denied and try to work on trying to figure out how to not get denied the next time around. Which inquiries impact your credit score? Continuous increase. If you're mortgage shopping, you have a 14-day window to go shopping for people to give you a quote that shouldn't be on your credit report. And if it is, you're able to remove it. Number of inquiries in the last 12 months will impact your credit score as well. And so mortgage, and like I mentioned, mortgage and auto inquiries are very important. Not all inquiries are scored the same, and these information right here, the period of time, things, negative derogatory information that report on your credit report stay for that length of time. Bankruptcy, as you can see, 10 years. You're talking about negative information such as judgments, foreclosures, collections, paid tax liens, unpaid tax liens. Those all stay on your credit report paid tax liens up to 7 years. So please be careful on how you use your credit and make sure that everything is paid. Credit reports contain no accounts older than 6 months. Those are new credit is not bad credit, but it's also not good credit, just so you guys know. So you have to establish credit and make sure you build credit. This is very, very important. So apply for a secured credit card if you don't have any credit. Secured credit cards usually are the best way to start. And then from there, move it to unsecured credit card to make sure that happens. So make sure that you are actually, if you have Social Security income, if you have any kind of income that comes in, to make sure that you work within that budget to understand that you, not everybody, make sure that your income plays a big role in how much you spend. Make sure that your Social Security important information that is on your credit report is up to date. Your address, your telephone number, your Social Security, your date of birth, all of that, your current employer, all of those play a factor in credit, just so you guys, and that's another thing too. Only apply for credit. The most important things is only apply for credit when you need it. Always pay your bills on time. Keep balances low on credit cards. Pay off your debt rather than moving it around. A lot of people will do balance transfers, 0% balance transfers until they pay off their credits. Make sure that it's paid off. Conduct rate shopping for mortgage and auto loans, and then make sure you reestablish credit if you have had problems in the past. Open new accounts, make sure that you do secured accounts, you guys. Please be careful of credit repair scams. you guys make sure, not the screen, sorry. Please make sure that you guys are aware of credit repair scams. I used to have a credit improvement credit to help people improve their credit company. And you will not understand the amount of people that used to tell me they paid thousands and thousands of dollars to individuals that said that they would do stuff to their credit and they were not able to repair your credit. My advice is fix your own credit. Try to settle with collection companies. Just so you guys know, bankruptcies will not be removed off your credit. Do not fall for that scam. A lot of people will tell you, I can get you your bankruptcy removed off your credit. They cannot remove it off your credit. That is one of the biggest scams I dealt with. And make sure that you guys, make sure they're credible. Do your homework if they repair credit. My advice to you is if you're in a hole and you feel like you have too much debt and you can't afford to pay off these credit companies, reach out to a credit counseling agency. Make sure that you make one installment. They can settle them all for you and you can make one monthly payment. It'll take a year or 2 or 3, but it'll get you where you need to be better than you just leaving it and ignoring it.
Okay, outstanding. We're going to have to jump in, Helda, if that's okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And, absolutely. We're going to segue into a conversation for remaining time. We want to thank Helda for this discussion, because this is why it's very briefly why it's important. This is a great opportunity, even as a business owner, reassess your financials and become financially healthy. And that's why she's going through this. It's important that we understand our income and our expenses and certainly everything else that we have. So Helda, I want to thank you very much for that discussion. We're going to segue into a panel discussion, and someone's asked a question. I want to make it clear, this session is being recorded. It's going to be housed on Detroit Public Television's YouTube channel. The question was raised about the PowerPoints. We are not sending out individual PowerPoints. However, you can go back and review this video at any point in time. We've assembled a great panel for this morning's discussion. We're going to be focused on the Great Resignation and how do businesses make sure they're ready for the digital age. And Pamela Dover is a Senior Director of Business Development and Marketing for Comcast Business. She's an award-winning cable executive with more than 28 years of industry experience, including sales, business development, marketing, community investment, government affairs, and public relations. Dr. Priscilla Archangel is joining us again. I've already gone through her bio earlier. I'm obviously a human resources executive, a coach, and she's doing great things. And also Mr. Dimitrius Hutcherson, also from First Independence Bank. He works for the bank as Executive Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer, and Chief Technology Officer, and is responsible for human resources, technology, retail banking, external affairs. And I'd like to welcome Pamela, Priscilla, and Dimitrius Hutcherson for the brief panel discussion that we're going to have. And let's jump right into it if we could. Jump into the panel discussion. And I'm going to come back over to you briefly, Priscilla, and just ask you one question as it relates to the Great Resignation. You mentioned a lot of times you talk about poor performance, and a lot of times entrepreneurs may hire family members, and as a result of hiring the family member, they're trying to certainly fill a void, but that family member may not be working out for them. So talk about the performance, the poor performance of a family member, and how do you navigate those challenges?
That's an excellent question, Mark. And if I may, before I answer that, there is a one-pager with notes from my presentation that will be dropped into the chat. So that's a good way if you want some notes from my presentation. In response to your question, I have a phrase that I call, are you a family business or a business family? Okay. If you're a family business, you tend to hire your family members because, they're available. Maybe they'll work for less. Maybe they'll, work whatever hours you need them to work, but they're not always the best ones to do what you need to do. They may not have the right skills. And particularly as the business grows, they may be great when you start out, but as the business grows, you may need some new skill sets that your family members don't have. And you've got to focus on being instead a business family, okay? So grow wealth for your family, but you don't have to employ them. You can leave them a legacy when you sell or retire, but focus on being a business family, which means your business comes first. What are the skill sets that you need to grow your business?
Yeah, obviously, again, I want to repeat that statistic that we heard the Fifth Bank economist mention last week. There are 5 million people looking for work, but there are 11 million jobs. So what happens? We have a tendency, we want to hire somebody. So and to go to that family member potentially. I want to segue over to Pamela Dover from Comcast Business. And I want to ask you, Pamela, about the digital age. I'm going to ask Dimitrius the same question. The topic is doing business in the digital age. And we've seen the digital age continue to grow, obviously, over the last couple of years with the pandemic. So how has your industry, Comcast, adjusted to the digital age? And what's been the overall impact on your business and also your customers, and specifically your small business customers?
Thanks for having me, Mark. First of all, for Comcast, during this digital age, I tell you, our business really have grown. Basically for our residential as well as our businesses, so many needed to increase their bandwidth. As you know, students were at home doing their homework, parents were working from home. So on the residential side, we saw an increase of bandwidth needs. So they did upgrade their services. And if you think about it, a lot of businesses also had to pivot and increase their bandwidth from, hospitals needed more and more bandwidth, doctors' offices, all types of first responders needed additional bandwidth. And then we saw, on the other side, we saw some small businesses as well as residents that could not pay, their cable or internet bill. And we offered a Comcast assistance program to help, both residential and businesses with that. So, we have a mixed bag, Mark. A lot of businesses knew that they had to have internet. They needed the extra bandwidth. So we did see increases for Comcast.
Thank you. And Dimitrius, I want to come across to you, the financial services industry, same question. Talk about doing business in the digital age. How has it impacted First Independence Bank and also your small business customers, as well as other people you do business with?
Well, Mark, first, thanks for having us. Delighted to be on your small business workshop, and just appreciate and admire all the work you're doing for the community. For First Independence Bank, what we had to do, because we were a critical business, but we were under a shelter from home, we were deep in the throes of COVID, we actually had to modify our ability to service customers. We scheduled some appointments by appointment only, where there were individuals that wanted to come into the bank. We actually had to limit the number of individuals that would be able to be in the branch at the same time. And as we made our way out of COVID, we still and we still do this to this day, in instances where there are customers that don't want to come into the bank because they're just not comfortable yet, we have the ability for customers to open up consumer accounts online by visiting www.firstindependence.com. And for business customers that want to work and do their business remotely, we've been able to open up accounts remotely using secure email, sending documents back and forth. As it relates to business customers, we, again, had to try and work with them as they work through the ups and downs in the cycle, as their businesses were experiencing some slowness, but we worked through some of those situations with them, and we still have made ourselves accessible in person as well as remotely. We were able to, due to the pandemic, provide a number of customers, existing as well as new customers, Paycheck Protection Program loans, which allowed them to sustain their business and actually get them through the pandemic, and we gained new customers as a result of it. So we obviously, move to a digital platform which allows customers to do more on the internet in terms of managing their business and their business affairs. So those are some of the things that we put in place to allow us to be continue to be successful and assist our companies, our customers and companies through the growth.
So let me, Priscilla, I want to come back over, and this question is for all three of you, but let's talk about leveraging technology. And I want to take it back during the digital age and this impact on the Great Resignation. Talk about how businesses can leverage technology during this digital age when it comes to recruiting and finding people as well.
Yeah, so I think the shortage, for instance, of workers is forcing some businesses to adapt technology when they maybe had been resistant before. But technology can be employed in a variety of areas where you don't need, I mean, the bottom line is you don't need that maybe frontline face-to-face service. There's data analytics, there's all sorts of things that you can use technology for. And I think one of the important things is to really look at the responsibilities and the roles and the work and the task, and even break it down to a task level in your business and really determine, does this need a human, or can an app or a system do it for us? And maybe the human is just maybe the front facing into it, or we put more information, just like Dimitrius said, on a website. So things that you used to have to walk in the bank to open an account, you can just go online and do it. I'm sure you can go online and sign up for Comcast service and schedule someone to come out to your house and hook up your service. So what can you move online for people to be able to do? And focus on where you really have to have personal service and put your people, your warm bodies there who are, skilled in doing that. So it's forcing small businesses to go up the next level and understand their processes and their tasks and really dig deep and figure out what's the best way to get it done.
Pamela Dover, I want to come back over to you and talk about leveraging technology. One of the challenges that small businesses have, quite frankly, and Comcast Business does a great job supporting small businesses, but a lot of us just don't want to change. Now I got to learn this thing called technology. I don't want to adjust. So talk about the importance of why entrepreneurs should change and adjust in this digital age, leveraging technology.
Yes, it's so important that they leverage technology. So many businesses are successful because of technology. And then we have so many businesses that are not, because they did not pivot and change. Technology just really helps businesses compete. It helps them promote their products and services. It causes them to be more efficient and increase their productivity, communications, etc. Deloitte put out a brief and in the Connected Small Businesses and said that businesses that were digitally advanced would earn twice as much. Their revenue would be higher, and this is just so true. And we just have to change the mindset that you have to go into the digital age. It is just really important for your business to be successful.
Dimitrius, over at First Independence, you also handle, I believe, human resources. Is that correct?
I do. And for us, Mark, we had to pivot. I mean, when we were in a shelter from home, and when we had some individuals that when we were hiring, we still had to meet and interact with folks. So we conducted a number of our interviews virtually, and we found that you were very successful in being able to interact and kind of read body language as we're doing now. When you still have the ability to look at someone virtually, camera to camera, you can kind of see nervousness or uncomfortableness if you are asking some of the questions that Priscilla so eloquently and spot on identified and asked. So it helped us to accelerate our process. And what we found is that we were able to do more and schedule more interviews virtually than we would if we were to do it manually. And so for the customers there's some customers, because of just personal situations, financial situations, they did not have the ability to maybe pivot and use technology. And in those instances, we would go out of our way to try to accommodate them and schedule time to meet with them and assist them with their banking needs. But we've done a concerted effort to move folks to mobile and web applications where it makes sense. And as you know, you found that the old way of sending when your child is in college and they need you to send money to them, the old way was to send them a check versus Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal them the money, and they get it a lot faster. So this is just, again, and we do this with business, the payment systems and solutions that commercial customers can use. It's a faster way of them getting receivables and making payables to customers.
And a couple more questions before we wrap up. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat room, and we'll be wrapping up shortly. But let's talk about that. I want to continue on that path of changing expectations with employees. Again, I was having lunch yesterday with a corporate executive. He was sharing with me some of the challenges that they're having. Here's a subtle change, for example. People kind of gotten used to being at home. And he made the comment that now when they go out, they prefer an earlier dinner meeting like at 5:30, trying to get out at 7 because they can be at home for a decent hour. If you think back before the pandemic, sometimes dinner meetings wouldn't start until 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you would not get home until 9. His point was that employee expectations have changed because they've gotten used to being at home. So I'm going to open it up to someone at large. Priscilla, maybe we can start with you briefly. Talk about those employee expectations and how they've changed in this challenging situation.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example. The biggest thing is employees want flexibility. I mean, you were in the office, let's say from 8 to 5, and except for time for lunch, you were working or doing something associated with work during that whole time. Now, because they can work at home and because there are different family needs, it might be, people get up and work from 5 to 7 in the morning, take a break, get the kids off to school, sit back down at 9 to noon, run some errands, come back at 1:30, and then maybe finish up from 7 to 9 in the evening. So they are used to flexibility during their day, taking breaks. And this is, for instance, for knowledge workers, okay? So they are still going to want that flexibility. And as we all know, they don't want to come back to the office, all right? So I won't ask Pam and Dimitrius to talk about their company's experiences necessarily, but people don't want to have to come back to the office. I had one person, one 40-year-old complained to me about her employer wanting her to be in the office 1 day a week, and she didn't even want to do that. So it's being flexible. And when we want them back, make sure it's a collaborative event, something where the face-to-face is really important. But just to come and sit in my office and then take a virtual call, that's not necessary.
So what we found in past jobs, I've worked in management consulting, and you find that you are a lot more productive and you stay plugged in when you are working virtually as opposed to being in the office. Now, some aspects of our job, because you're customer facing on the retail side, you have to be in the building. In instances where you can work remotely, what folks are finding where they may have the flexibility, they end up being plugged in more often and responding to emails 9, 10 o'clock at night. And they say, wow, I'm working a lot longer than I thought. Oh my.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up in a minute. Pam, I'm going to give you a chance to intone on a slightly different topic as we wrap up, is on this leveraging technology. From and next week, you're going to be talking about another program. You're going to be speaking about another program called Comcast Rise, I believe. But let's come back to leveraging technology briefly. What businesses, in your opinion, that you work with, the industries, don't name the businesses, what industries or types of businesses are doing fairly well as they're leveraging technology? So in other words, they pivoted well doing this technology, or using it, versus what other ones are kind of struggling, still not doing what they should be doing?
Yeah, Mark, we found that a lot of businesses that are just, tech businesses are doing really, really well. Of course, leveraging technology because that is their sweet spot. And we're also seeing that a lot of restaurants are doing well. You see now they have the virtual menus. and POS systems for retailers. When they use those, that helps, them with their credit card, invoicing and payments and getting payments from customers. But one thing I did really want to mention, the whole thing around technology is really having the right internet connection. We talk about, everything that we've talked about on this call is technology, right? And it's internet. If you don't have the right connection, if you have a slow connection, you're not going to get the best experience, and you won't get the best experience, for your customer. So there are some technology checklist tidbits that, definitely want to offer your listeners today, because it's really, really very important for small businesses to have the right technology, and they need to evaluate if their internet is slow, how many employees they may have on their internet, if they want to add Wi-Fi experience, all this is so important, and they have to evaluate what speed, what bandwidth they have, and then do they have that professional, online presence with their business, and is their network secure? You'll be surprised. Small businesses take for granted that, they don't need a backup. There could be outages, power storms, or whatever to take them down, or they could experience cyber attacks. Every 39 seconds, a small business is attacked. So internet connection, reliability, and speed, all those things are so very important. And we have at Comcast a slew of experts to help businesses get through what they need for their business to be successful.
Standing. What I want to do is I'm going to wrap up, and I want to thank Pamela Dover and Priscilla Archangel and Dimitrius Hutcherson. I also want to thank Helda Saad for her comments today as well. And as we wrap up, I'm going to invite you to stay tuned for next week. Next week at 10 o'clock, we will be focused on your small business toolkit, government resources, and we'll talk about some funding opportunities. And also going to have a special fireside chat as well called You Go Girl, Navigating Beyond the Pandemic for Female Entrepreneurs with Dr. Geneva Williams, who's an entrepreneur. She's also the executive director of Web 6. We have dropped in the chat room the registration link for next week. We have been getting a great response. I'm overwhelmed by the response to these workshop sessions. Again, this session today has been recorded. It will be dropped on Detroit Public Television's website and YouTube channel a little bit later today. I want to thank you all for participating. There will be a survey that will be coming out this afternoon. We would encourage you to certainly fill out the surveys. We do look at them all to make sure we continue to fine tune. Go out and make it a great day, make it a great week. And by the way, my little shameless plug, you can check me out on this Sunday, this Sunday morning at 11 o'clock in the conference room with Mark Esley on 910 AM the Superstation. And by the way, I have a special treat this Sunday. I will be featuring the Divine Nine. Every fraternity and sorority in Detroit and from across the country will be represented. It's the only time in Detroit radio history that's ever been done. And this is the 4th or 5th time I've done it. So please tune in. You do not want to miss that. With every fraternity and sorority, the Divine Nine will be featured this Sunday. Go out and make it a great day, everyone. And thanks for supporting the Small Business Workshop. Have a great day.
Bye.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.